Okay, so today I'm going to talk about cardio, and cardio really stands for cardiovascular respiratory system training. And what that really then means is when you go out to do cardio, you're training your heart and your lungs. And just like you go to the gym to pick up weights to get stronger and to build more muscle, when you go out to do cardio, you are getting an adaptation on your cardiovascular system. So, in terms of health, this could be crucial for you to reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease. If you have health markers as such as high blood pressure or in conjunction with resting heart rate that's also high, you are running into a greater risk of creating or having a cardiovascular disease later on in life. So one of the strategies that you can put in place, obviously changing your diet, sleeping and all these things, but doing cardiovascular conditioning and going into these three systems here, we have low intensity steady state, or LIS as the first one here. And what that really is, it's a low intensity adaptation onto your, or a stimulus onto your respiratory system. So that really means that you should be able to go out, let's call it for a jog or a power walk, depending on how fit you are. The speed of that low intensity is going to depend, because ultimately we are measuring all of these things compared to your heart rate. So let's say that low intensity work is around 50 to maybe 60% of your max heart rate. And that you should be able to sustain for a long period of time because it's not very demanding. And then as we progress through these terms here, I want to jump down to the very last one first. So HIIT. Many of you are probably familiarized with it. It stands for high intensity interval training. And true HIIT is extremely hard to tap into. And a lot of the time you need to condition yourself for preparing yourself to be able to do true HIIT training. True HIIT training is when you jump on, say, the bike and you completely do all out for 30 seconds, and then it takes you a good 4 to 5 minutes to recover if you're a fit person. If you're an unfit person, maybe you even crash and die, because you should probably not try and aim for HIIT if you have, as I stated earlier on, like elevated blood pressure and probably like some other issues. But true HIIT really is extremely intense. It's the max you can ever go, and it takes a lot of time for you to recover. So when people talk about HIIT, they tend to refer to interval training, which is like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and you'll be working really hard, and it will increase in intensity as the sets goes on, but it's still not your true HIIT. But it doesn't mean that it's not a good workout, and it doesn't have its own adaptation on your cardiovascular system, but we want to separate all three from each other. And as I kind of mentioned earlier, the way that we measure someone's cardiovascular health can be on three things. We got blood pressure, and then we want to look at your resting heart rate, and then we can look at something called heart rate variability, or HRV. And so we want to have the blood pressure around 120/70, 125/75 as a gold standard. Your resting heart rate, the lower that becomes, it goes to show that you actually are more fit. And then we have the heart rate variability. We want to have a high reading there, so you're about 80s. So that will tell you how well you recover. And with these three metrics combined, we can then start to make changes to your plan. And we can see that if we are putting you on a HIIT protocol or an interval protocol, and we're saying, okay, we're going to do 30 seconds on, and you go again once your heart rate has dropped below 100. And that can take you 4 minutes. But as you see that the more you do these things over the course of the weeks, you are actually going to reduce the interval between your end of your interval to when you can go again, because your heart rate is going to drop faster. And that's a good indication that you are able to recover, which means that your cardiovascular, respiratory health and fitness is improving. So Yes, a lot of people, and it's the one thing I'm gonna just mention in the end, a lot of people do cardiovascular training because they want to burn more calories. And yes, you will be burning a little bit more calories when you do, especially lifts, because you're burning and you're moving. But ultimately, we want to separate energy out with what we do with our bodies, because ultimately the goal with the cardio is not to burn more calories. The goal with the cardio is to improve your cardiovascular respiratory health. Obviously, when you're improving your cardiovascular respiratory health, your metabolism will more likely be in your favor. But we want to make sure that we don't do cardio just because we're guilty and because we have eaten something bad over the weekend. We want to make sure that we are creating a diet that works and will take care of the fat loss journey, and that we do the training and then the cardiovascular training that will take care of your physique and your health. So I really want to just leave it at that cardio is not as a mean to burn more calories, even though yes you are. It is to create an adaptation on your heart and your lungs so that you are able to recover quicker between doing work, which ultimately is what everyone should be striving for.